You can hear that as well. We've got his soundboard over here with us today. We've got the bombs. It's going to sound exactly like a real show, or exactly like a live show. Right, I'm going to add you on, Billy. Is that okay? Just waiting for Billy to come online. All right, Billy, we'll do you later on. Ace, you want to come on live?
Yo, what we saying? How we doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good, man. I'm good, man. Right,
Good to
A's in
see
the
your
building.
face, bro. Oh, you got the sound effects, too.
I got the sound effect. I've got everything ready for tonight. I've got
Nah,
everything ready.
guys.
We're going to go back. We're going to make it sound exactly like a real show.
Well,
How you doing,
yeah,
man?
rate it. Am I the first up? Am I the sacrificial poet?
Do you know what? Go for it. Go for it. Well, I'm ready.
No. Nah, but anyway, I hope you're doing well, taking care of yourself. My name is Ace. Yeah, I was looking, so I've written a new piece, you know, for today for you, just for you. So,
Nice.
but I was thinking, bruv, your sound effects are wavy. I might do that second.
Sure.
So what I was thinking was, if I just written my latest piece now, I might take it back to the first ever piece I wrote, just a bit of a warm up. I wrote it 4 years ago. It's called Life. I don't know if you might have heard it, might not have, but I formed at university. And yeah, it's a little story for you all. Life doesn't always turn out how you expect it to. Imagine being born into a scenic view set out before you, with the sun shining onto emerald grass of the country's endless valleys, and birds flying high to faraway trees just to feed their babies. As Michael looked into the distance and accommodated his focus, he saw this bigger picture. His obsession to care for others and ensure their happiness was initialized, for the world could only progress if this nature was not criticized. He didn't understand his parents dying in a car accident soon after his birth. He didn't understand being taken to the city and away from this earth. He didn't understand growing up as a kid in foster homes and the parents sexually abusing him in one of those homes. All he understood was that he had to make them happy. Fast forward to high school. A girl called Jasmine had met our teenage Michael. She was as beautiful as they could be, a modern-day Aphrodite for those of you who know Greek mythology. He helped her out in any way he could. From homework to bullies, you could say he was in love with her. But favours were required for the latter. And in Michael's eyes, it didn't really matter. But before you know it, Michael trapped himself in a gang. Kicked out of college, picked up the slang. He had a talent for pickpocketing, but then they wanted to pick up his rank. After roughing up this one dealer, they handed little Mike's to shank. Go on, cuz. Tell him what I want. But hurting another is something Michael can't. Nah. You do your job and I'll do mine. Now get the fuck out of the way so I can get on with my grind. Fast forward to saving up enough money and getting out of the game. Hood up, head down, one earphone in, one earphone out. Managed to get a mundane desk job with few qualifications he got. His mind numb from the life of crime he put behind, yet numb until the office's closing time. Michael's days ended the same way they started. Clickbait articles about how Kardashian farted. And soon would be the day that Michael stumbled upon internet porn. Watching men give pleasure to women in a way he didn't evoke the desire to say to himself one early morn, I want to do this. I want to please others like this. Who knew sex work would be the career path Michael then chose to live? Earning enough to survive, but selling his body to pleasure women was always more important in his eyes. Months went by, and the warmth he thought he could provide was consumed by the growing cold his heart couldn't disguise. Seeing to this one client in a warehouse full of addicts, and looking around him before he reached her climaxes, women and children throwing their lives away with whatever they poison themselves with every day, seeing an overdosed woman all marked and feeble with a baby in her arms screaming, Mama, please, give me more attention than you do with the needle. Lost in the world he'd brought himself up in, Michael got dressed and ran out overwhelmed from within. Tears streaming down his face, he found himself on the Tower Bridge nearby. One step forward into the River Thames and Michael will die. shouting and contemplating everything up until that point. What were the chances that his mind would clear at the sound of a voice pleading for him to get down from behind him? Could it have been that girl he once knew as Jasmine? Michael still wouldn't answer, crying deeper and deeper into his abyss. The voice asked, why are you doing this? With Michael being able to look up to the night sky and say, I'm a bird, and all I wanted to do is just fly. Life doesn't always turn out you expect it to. There are so many journeys people have taken in this world that we don't know about. The reality is, at least 140,000 people in England go to hospital each year having attempted suicide, with more than 4,000 people still dying each year by suicide. If you know about someone in need, even if they're not a loved one, show them some love, compassion and kindness, because who knows, it could be the care they've always needed deep down, and it could be the care that will end up saving their life. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Do you know what? That might like being a bit cheap as well, but you know what? You've just set the bar. You've set the bar already. You've set the bar. Man.
Appreciate it, man. If anyone's listening as well, if you can always call Samaritans for free on 116-123 UK and Ireland. Yeah, I wrote that in 2016, and it's like quite alarming. Like those numbers are like a lot higher now, especially for men.
Yeah.
And you already know, soft-spoken Abdullah. Like mental health obviously means a lot to me, and back then I couldn't own up to like having it, and I didn't believe it was real. But yeah, that piece was a semi-autobiographical poem. I've come a long way in 4 years. Tried to be more honest with all my shit. So you know.
I mean, if that was your first poem, though, that's your first ever poem.
Poem I ever wrote. Yeah, I didn't know what poetry was. Still
wow. I mean, you set the bar high for yourself from day one as well. Wow. Wow.
You gassed me. Shout out to everyone in the comments, man. Like Big Scoob, we got Ryan, Andre, Tish, Leah.
And we've got with
Billy. Appreciate it.
You've got Taha. I see you, Billy. I see Woodsy. I see you, Litna. I see Amy.
You guys, bring your own buzz. Come on.
Sullivan. We've got Akko. Definitely saw Louis the hippie in here somewhere as well. Louis, you can say hi if you can as well. But A's, wow. I mean, you set the bar high from your first poem as well. Do you want to give us your second poem?
Well, I'll probably leave the second poem, to be honest. Just two and done. So the second poem is my latest poem. I've written for you guys listening. I might post it. I don't know. So it's the latest poem. Written it just like yesterday and today. What was that?
A little bit of Cardi B in there.
Cardi B. It's this is a list poem. I don't really do list poems. I think the first time I did it was for Poetical Words. Shout out to you guys in the comments. So I'm trying to experiment more, because we got to perform for ourselves more than for other people. Try new things like during quarantine, innit? Yeah, if anyone here doesn't know who I am, my name is A's. Follow BYOB Poetry, follow Soft Spoken, follow the whole team. Everyone featuring today. Asim. Who you got Asim, Bexy Bex.
Asim, we got Billy, we got Louis, we got Taylor, we got Bex.
Come on.
Scoop, tell you what, if one of our people doesn't come on, then we can do an open mic later on today. But there is an open mic next week. Next week on the 20th, we're going to be live on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitch. So we're going to be doing a massive open mic next week as well.
And who's headlining that?
Oh, yes, who's headlining that one? The one, the only Solomon Adam.
Man, like Solomon, yeah? Come on.
That's the Avengers lineup. I'm telling you, this is it. If we ever go on like a little poetry sound clash, these are the 6 people I'm bringing on stage.
Hey, that would be live. One day, maybe.
One day.
So yeah, this new poem. Again, I've never performed this before. I've just written this for you guys for today. So I hope you like it. It's called World Living. We live in a world where people want to do their part but don't want to stay apart. A world trying but failing to be socially distant. Yet there's nothing social about distancing. That's a complete oxymoron for a start. And we have morons who don't have to stay at home for a weekend. They're persistent. Compared to our previous generations who were able to do it for years during their world wars. Now our world falls under quarantine, lockdown, self-isolation. Excess buying and hoarding indoors while reselling hand sanitizer for a big premium on the outdoors. because COVIDiots are reckless with hygiene and self-preservation. We live in a world that takes a mask around its face to cover up the realization that we take everything for granted. Take what we want from supermarkets so the more vulnerable can't access what they need. Take photos of said vulnerable for public complaint on social media, but still go on to do the same things themselves the next day indeed. We take and take and take, but we don't seem to give. We live in a world built on kindness, but refuses to show it and forgive. We live in a world built on violence, but its bruises still show, so we act more corroborative. Viral kindness, survival blindness, turn up the brightness to contrast the virus. Our niceness guides us through mindless crisis onto a righteous path, so priceless and timeless.
Flow.
We live in a world that doesn't know what day of the week it's on, losing track of the month as if there's amnesia in the air. As if we'll forget the vaccine human trials in Africa, using them as guinea pigs now. Come on. I'm tired of remembering the darker our skin, the less value this society places on us for care. We live in a world where everyone thinks they're a scientist, but no one wants to look at the hard facts.
Tell them again.
Where...
Tell them again. Tell them again. Tell them again. Tell them again.
Okay. We live in a world where everyone thinks they're a scientist, but no one wants to look at the hard facts. We live in a world where 3 out of 4 new or emerging infectious diseases in people come from eating animals. You people will complain saying this needs to stop, but you'll still continue to eat more meat and do more damage? Even when the World Health Organization, the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, and the World Organization for Animal Health have all stated this, and that your demand for animal protein is the main risk factor of a pandemic? So why don't you change your lifestyle to prevent climate change and change the future of this COVID epidemic? We live in a world where our Prime Minister was in intensive care after contracting the virus. Despite many of us never voting for him, people still joke about it and wish him the worst as if he's not a human being. If you genuinely can't wish an ill person better, then the next available option should be silence. We live in a world that remembers all the terrible things Boris and his Conservative Party have done for everyone else and everything else to fall short. And now they've been directly affected, we hope they come out of this with a bit more empathy. Because we live in a world discriminating against immigrants, yet now relying on them in our hospitals, shops and transport. So we hope that they can convince the right-wing voters of this nation to treat others how they like to be treated themselves respectfully. We hold on to this hope for when we come out on the other side. So they put more funding into the NHS after years of cuts, all clapping and privatized jokes aside. We live in a world where death is on our doorstep, and we're brave enough to kick it away, fighting until our last breath. Also crying until we're out of breath. For our loved ones who can't kick it anymore, because their legs are straight in a coffin for their funeral, that's locked off to me and so many others because the big social gatherings we'd want is against the law. So we have to stay at home watching the funeral from a live stream like this, like some future Black Mirror episode. So inexcusable. The future. Guess we're in that now. In the past, we lived in a world that preached catch flights, not feelings. But now they're twerking on others' live streams and getting that airtime whilst kneeling. We live in a world that's filtered social gatherings down to social media. So now anyone can turn up to your house party uninvited before a random departure. Anyone can use video call apps to make dating easier. Anyone has the chance to come out of all this with a wife, husband, or a life partner. We live in a world we haven't caught up with and spoken to in years. Since we've been too busy scrolling through memes and binging TV shows, following like sheep as our shepherds discriminate daily, playing on our fears. Or we can just look up from our screens to connect with the natural world on those daily runs in our gym clothes. We live in a world that promotes physical education, music and art, yet they're the 3 getting the least appreciation in schools.
Tell them again, tell them again, tell them again, tell them again.
Oh, soft-spoken, you're killing me. We live in a world, the teacher news coming out, innit? We live in a world that promotes physical education, music and art, yet they're the 3 getting the least appreciation in schools. But if those subjects are all vital in keeping us sane, then why aren't they just as essential when it comes to government funding and tools? We live in a world that needs a global pandemic to really and truly realize its creative passions, our creative passions. We live in a world that says we've got no time to do anything, and yet now we've got all the time in said world to take action. We live in a world where all of us are suffering, or none of us are. We're all going to get judged by our future generations on what we did during this period, how we coped, how we treated each other. So let's just end this poem on, we live on this world together. Here you go, man. What was that one?
You know the fucking rhymes.
I've got words for days. I've got ad-libs for days as well, man. Well, now, Ace, you killed me, man. That's 2 fire poems in a row. You go about to make me cry in the first one. Second one, I was about to cry just in agreement as well. You know what? I wasn't looking to cry today as well, but you know what? I'm there.
Nah, you're too kind, bro. I really appreciate you having me on, and yeah, I just want to do something special for you, innit?
Yeah, man. At least, well, I mean, you know what? The least we could do is make sure that we can give you a platform to kind of to do your thing as well. Do you want to promote your socials, please, quickly?
Oh, I don't like plugging. My Instagram is A's official. That's AIZZZ official. Same as Twitter, Facebook, on YouTube. A's Hussein. And yeah, again, like you're right, Suspect. Like you got to support each other. The only way that this poetry scene is going to elevate is if we keep on supporting each other, showing love. I mean, that's the beauty about this industry compared to everything else, is that we actually show genuine love. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. Exactly.
That's rare. You can't get that anywhere else. So like, it means a lot for me to be on this. Your first live, gig. It's history in the making for you, man. And I'm really blessed to be part of it. And so alongside such beautiful and talented artists as well. It's a big thing for me. Thank you.
Definitely, man. Right, we need to get on to everyone else as well. But one more time for Aid, everyone else, could we just put a comment in the comment section, please? Thank you very much, Aid. Speak to you soon, yeah?
Yeah, speak soon, man. Big love. In a bit.
See you in a bit. Wow. That's just the start off as well. What a fucking start. What an ace. Right, so we're going to move on to the next section, but like I said, before we move on, just one more time as a reminder. So next week is going to be from 8 till 10 p.m. It will be a Zoom open mic, and then we're going to have a special recorded section from our friend Solomon Adams.